is Wafa Al-Abedat. You are listening to the Women Power Podcast, a subsidiary platform to the Women Power Summit, the largest event in MENA, with the aim of empowering women and helping them achieve their absolute highest potential. Each week on the Women Power Podcast, you will hear honest, vulnerable, authentic, real conversations from inspiring women. These women will share their experiences and stories into what it takes to build a successful business and career. The podcast will share insight and inspiration and hopefully inspire action and lead change. Side note, even though we are all at home, we wanted to bring you valuable content. So this episode of the podcast is brought to you over Zoom. Please bear with the sound quality. Thank you. Layla Alsharif is an entrepreneur, consultant, and trainer. She has established one of the first online startup confectionery arts industry after previously running her own business, Sugar and Lace. Layla has also previously worked as an e-marketing manager in Gulf Air, moving on to manage the in-flight entertainment content and planning. For Layla, the focus is always on delivering a high-end product through a unique business model, no matter what she ventures into. Welcome, Layla. I wanted to ask you how you were doing during COVID. I know things are opening up a little bit. How are you feeling about it? Are you going out? Are you booking a restaurant? Are you ready to go back to the gym?
Best gift anyone could have ever given me, because I think we're always in the mindset of being productive and pushing ourselves. And for once, I had an excuse not to do anything, and I could justify it to myself and everyone around me that, hey, I'm not doing anything because I can't, but because really inside me, I really wanted to, and I needed that break. I needed to take some steps back. I needed to quiet my mind. And like you said, I always like to pivot. Change is so comfortable. Like, it's something that I thrive on. I love change. I love changing my life. I love living many different kinds of lives. To say that it's kind of like chapters. So it's not like one path that I'm taking and I'm just really excelling in that one path. I think I have such a craving to want to do everything and see everyone and be everywhere. So COVID was awesome for me because it made me think of what to do next. I think we are a society that doesn't embrace the pause, and I think the pause is so important, because you need to take one step back in order to take leaps forward. And that one step back is always you kind of doing some internal work, not doing anything much productivity wise. So people think that you're really not doing much, but you're doing a lot of internal work. And I think that's what it was for me.
You worked at an aviation-based company for 7 years. When did you know it was the right time to leave? Can you talk to me about that specific moment where you were like, you know what, I'm done with this chapter of my life and I want to try something completely new?
So the end of every chapter, I find, is so much harder than the beginning of the chapter. It was difficult to part with because it's such a sexy industry. It's really, really nice to be part of that kind of, you're always flying, you're always traveling. It's very refreshing. But I think the end of the line for me was when it felt very repetitive. I felt like I wasn't being appreciated for being Layla rather than my ID number. I was just another number. And I think that really demotivated me, just feeling like if I left today, I could be replaced tomorrow. I kind of wanted to feel like I'm irreplaceable, that they want me for me rather than just someone filling a seat. So it was going through a lot of changes, and the management had a meeting where they told all the staff that basically they made people feel like they weren't being valued. And I think that was my cue to exit.
Did you feel limited in terms of creative?
Look, I think I had the best jobs there possible. I did move around. I was there for 7 years, so I did move around from being a graduate entry management, which was a fast track into management. I did marketing. I established the e-marketing department. So we had Instagram was just coming out. We redid the website to make it SEO friendly. We acquired a CMS. We started YouTube. We started Instagram. We started Facebook page. So it was very interesting being there. And then after that, I moved to in-flight entertainment, where I was doing all the programming of audio, visual, in-flight magazine. And then I went on to also being an in-house trainer. So by the end of it, I felt like I did all the jobs that I could possibly want to do in that company. And I felt like I hit my peak and my limits. And I felt there was nothing else that I could do that was exciting for me. The culture there was very much clock in, clock out. And during their work hours, I mean, they could be doing nothing. Yeah. So it was very much a culture of, let me just show up. And I'm not the type of person to just show up. I want to show up and give it my 200%, not 100%. And I couldn't do that there. It wasn't the right culture for me.
I've known you for a long time, and I really felt that you have entrepreneurial energy, mindset, vibe. You want to try different things. I think you love to take risks. I think you're quite passionate. When did this love for baking happen? Did that emerge really quickly after you left that company you were working in, or did it come with time? Did you have to kind of experiment for a while after that?
I was always baking, but I mean, like the odd chocolate chip cookie or the cupcakes, it was nothing fancy. But I always loved baking. I still do. It's like, it's very therapeutic, and I think it's something you crave. You always crave like a hot baked something, cookie, cupcake, cake, whatever it is. So it started as just my love for baking, and then I took very basic courses in cake design. And then I went on to teach these courses. So they asked me to become the teacher for that. And I had only started that a month prior to quitting. So I knew that that was the path that I wanted to take. I didn't know what would become of it.
Can you tell me about the moment you came up with the name for your company, registering the company, and just starting up? How was that process for you?
The name of the company came up when I was studying. So I did a cake decorating certificate in Toronto, and that's when I just came up with it. I've always loved like these vintagey looking things and lace and just beautiful things, and I think that just really stuck with me. And I was so certain of the name, like right away, before starting anything. I already had a name.
Layla, you did a cake course in as a student in university?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't a university. It was like 8 years after I graduated. So I did my undergrad. I actually did my undergrad in mass comm and human relations. I did a double major, and then I worked in the airlines for 7 years, and then I went back to study again.
And what did you study again?
Cake design. It was a 2 months intensive certificate.
Was it like Julia and Julia, the movie where you go off and you're learning about cooking and you're in love with it and this is it, this is what's for me, this is my life now. I'm gonna turn this into a business or I'm gonna turn this into my career.
Yes, and I think I had so much more on the line than all the other students there because I left a secure job. I left my kids for 2 months, and I had to come back and make it. And I had to prove that that was a worthy decision. So I had so much pressure to kind of make it happen.
And you were in Canada. Why did you pick Toronto? Why wouldn't you go to Europe?
I did my undergrad in Montreal, so Canada is a very familiar country. And it was the only place that offered a specific course for cake design. Everywhere else, it was just a pastry degree.
For those of us who are not familiar with the different types of certificates, Can you tell me why this one was so special or why it was important to you?
So when you're a pastry chef, that doesn't mean that you are taught how to decorate. That means you can bake, you can make a pavlova, you can make a tart, you can make a pie, you can make a cake, but they don't teach you the skills of decorating. So in bakeries now, there are two different positions. Someone does the baking and someone does the decorating.
So let's say now your 2 months are up, you come back to Bahrain. What's next?
So I had to come up with my own business model, which is non-existent in Bahrain, by the way. Everyone thinks when you want to do cakes that you have to have a bakery and you have to cater to everyone and you have to have from the cupcakes to the cookies to the cakes. And I wanted something very niche. I wanted something very beautiful, something expensive, something unique, something exquisite. And every time I'd explain that to someone, they didn't understand what I had in my head. So I had to come up with my own very unique business model and say that, look, I'm only going to cater to very few people. I'm not looking for mass. I'm looking for quality over quantity, but they have to be big scale. They have to be large scale cakes. And I really wanted to specialize in the wedding industry because I wanted to bring that style of beauty and elegance to my cakes, which I really couldn't do with just like birthday cakes.
Okay, so you came to Bahrain, you registered. Did you start making these cakes from home or did you rent out a place? Where did you operate from?
So I didn't register. I started operating from home. I didn't know how to start, but a lot of my Instagram already picked up just because I was in school and I was posting our um, projects and our different cakes, and my Instagram already started picking up. So when I came back, very soon after, one of my friends said, my wife's throwing a baby shower for her friend and she's forgotten to order the cake and it's in 3 days and no one's accepting her order. And I remember seeing you on Instagram. Can you do it? So in 3 days, I had to, you know, create a 3-tier cake for her. And that's how it took off. It just snowballed from there. And so I did do the smaller cakes, but still made it very unique design, so very elegant, things that weren't really in fashion in Bahrain. And then I got a customer that said, look, I'm having 400 guests at my wedding, and it was at the Ritz-Carlton, and she said they're already providing the cake, which was the case then. And she said, I want you to make 400 cupcakes. And then I said, look, tell the hotel to give you your 400 cupcakes. Let me make your wedding cake for you. And that's how I landed my first wedding cake. We started exchanging pictures, and she sent me a photo of a cake that she saved as her screensaver. And that was the same photo that I was looking at on Pinterest. And I sent it to her, and she was like, can you do this? You know, in my heart, I knew I could. I think the reason why I ventured into cakes, although I had really not a lot of skills to begin with, is every time I saw a cake in my heart, I knew I could already do it. I could see myself do it. So when I showed her the cake, I said, yes, I can. And that was just the beginning of it. So I did her cake. I was so proud of myself. I made all my family members come to the Carlton and take photos of it. I was so happy. It was such a satisfying moment for me because, it's a tangible product. So all the visions and all that energy and all that emotions is suddenly into something. And I've spent countless hours on it, and now we can look at it and take photos of it. So that was a really, really beautiful moment for me.
How many more cakes did you do after that and how long did you bake for?
7 years. I did countless cakes. I've been in all the five-star hotels in Bahrain. I've done a few in Saudi as well. I know all the wedding planners, all the florists, all the DJs. We all kind of see each other pre-wedding. Everyone's kind of doing their own thing. It was a really nice group to be a part of. And it's being part of people's happy moments, being part of people's best moments. It's such a positive industry.
So you did that for 7 years. Was it a profitable business?
Yes, it was a profitable business only because I was doing large scale cakes. I think people who are in the day to day making smaller cakes, I think they're just kind of making ends meet. Maybe having a little profit here and there, but I think because my business model was in a way that it was focusing on the larger cakes. And don't forget, it was a one-man show. I know people get really shocked about this because it appears to be like a full-on, bakery with lots of people, but it was just me.
What stopped you from hiring people and growing your company?
I attempted to open so many times. I attempted to open on 3 different occasions, and every time it just wouldn't happen. And I think now in hindsight, I think in my heart, I knew that I didn't want that full-on bakery. It had my signature on each cake. It was very hard to train someone to put so much heart into something rather than view it as a job. And I think the creative part of it was the part that I enjoyed the most. So I really didn't want to be running a business and giving away the reason why I started this business in the first place to someone else.
The challenge with that is sometimes you love what you do so much and you're enjoying being the one-man show, but eventually you burn out or you get bored. Did that happen to you at all?
In the end, yes, which is why I ended it. I just felt, so I had set intentions in the beginning. I really wanted this to be a job that wasn't frowned upon, that was seemed to be a very decent or even a job that people looked up to, which wasn't the case when I started. I wanted to train locals, especially women, to be able to enter this industry, which was heavily relying on expats. I wanted to kind of have a signature style. I wanted to be able to make really interesting, challenging cakes. And I ticked all those boxes and more. So it took me, honestly, it was a whole year of me contemplating if I should end this or not. I felt it was no longer bringing me that much joy. I felt it came full circle. I wanted to leave it on a high rather than just continue for the sake because the business is doing well and just continue. I wanted to end it and still have really fun memories of it.
Were you paying yourself well?
Finance isn't my strongest suit. I did not have a steady salary, if that's what you're asking, but I did pay myself. I was getting paid pretty well. I was very happy. It was a decent living. It was a decent living. Obviously, we had high seasons, which were the cooler months. Those were the peak. We had lower times, like Ramadan, for example. So I came to know the cycle, and I was very comfortable running it the way that I was running it.
It's interesting that when we set our intentions and we fulfill them, we're like, okay, I've done what I've come here to do, so what's next? First of all, when you decided to stop, how did you kind of break it to the people who are supportive of you, your family, your friends, and how was the feedback?
I didn't ask anyone for feedback. Everyone has the answers, and I think when we ask people, it's just a confirmation of what we know rather than an answer of what we don't know already. It was hard. I ended without telling anyone, and I wanted the ending to be between me and myself, and to be sure before I go on to tell people. Like I said before, the ending is always much more difficult than the start, and this time it was even harder leaving my baby, my business, my dream, than leaving a job that someone else could fill, someone else's dream. This was way harder, way bigger. But when I ended it, I knew that it was the right thing. You know, when you feel relieved and you think, oh, that was the right decision. That's how I felt.
What did you do to kind of officially end that chapter?
So when I was running, if I'd go on holiday, let's say, or if I'd want to take a break, I'd just say, I'm not accepting orders for these dates, or sometimes I'd just say I'm booked, for one reason or the other, I'd just say I can't. And I did that for a while. I was just saying I no longer take orders. I'm not taking orders at this time. But again, that was putting a strain on my emotional well-being because I was still dragging it. I was still pulling it. I was still saying not right now, but maybe later, right? And I did that for some time. And I think when I ended it is when I removed my contact details from my Instagram, and people would come and I'd say, I'm no longer taking orders. I did that for quite some time. And then later I decided to sell my things and I renamed my Instagram to my personal name. And that was really the closing of the chapter for me.
You needed to reconcile this with yourself. You were like, I'm comfortable with this decision now. Did nobody around you just flip out? Like your mom or your dad or your husband or your friend or like your best friend who was like, what are you doing? You've been doing this for 7 years. You're doing well. Like, did nobody kind of get upset with you? Did you feel any pressure at all?
So many people did. And funnily enough, people that don't know me and just follow my page also reached out to me saying, it's really disheartening. And why? Why? Just give us an answer. Just tell us why. I couldn't put my answer into words. It was feelings. How can I give someone my feeling? It was difficult. It was definitely a challenge, but then this is why I'm saying COVID was amazing for me, because I no longer had to tell anyone anything. I didn't have to explain why I'm stopping and why I don't know what my next step is, and I'm okay with that, and I'm okay with doing nothing for the moment, and I'm okay with just doing some internal work and figuring my life out, and I'm okay with it. I think being okay with doing nothing is very alarming for a lot of people.
Why do you think it's alarming for other people?
Because we're a culture that, pats you on the back for always being busy and always being productive and always doing something. even if it's not something you want to do, but you're busy. So we're constantly cheering on that person that has a super busy schedule, but is burnt out at the end of the day, but is not a great mom because she's not given herself that time. We're still cheering that person on. Rather than say, you know what, you deserve it. Take your time off, take as long as you need, do the internal work you need, find the answers you need, and then you'll come out much stronger out of this.
Do you miss your old business at all? Do you like think about bringing it back, or do you dream about it, or, does it creep up, or is that really like something that you said, that was a chapter in my life and I love it for what it was, but yeah, like that's my past now?
So I was scrolling through my photos just yesterday. I hadn't done that in, I think, a year. Anyways, I was, for some reason, scrolling. I wanted to just write out basically the events that happened. And I was doing it with so much love. Like, I'm so happy that I got to experience that. I'm so happy that I was able to experience that joy and be in that state of flow and be in that state of mind where you're working countless hours and you haven't eaten and you haven't slept, but you don't care because you're so happy. I am so happy that I did that. It feels honestly like a lifetime ago. It feels like it wasn't me almost. Feels like a lifetime ago. I don't want to bring it back. I want to leave it as perfect as it was.
So what happened afterwards? Did you meet somebody? Did you want to start a new company? I know you were involved with a company that does raw vegan food and treats and desserts. How did that happen?
So this is when I was in the end of my journey thinking, I need to end this, but I don't know how. Right now, the only thing I know how to do is be an entrepreneur, and maybe I need to venture into something else. And that's when I saw this healthy desserts business. Someone was already running it. We decided to collaborate, and very organically, it became a partnership. I hadn't closed my Sugar and Lace account then. It was still kind of like, do I want to continue or do I not? Should I continue just because I'm good at it? Or shall I end it? So I hadn't ended Sugar and Lace just yet. My partnership experience was very short-lived, to be honest. It was even less than a year. And I think God always gives me like crash courses in life, like gives me a big lesson in a very short amount of time, and I'm super grateful for that. The ending of Gulfair was the same thing, when there was a huge lesson to be learned there. And after I left, I realized had I stayed, there was going to be so many problems that I don't really want to get into now. But the same thing happened with this. Had I stayed and had a shop and had a business, then COVID happened. I was so relieved not to have a business during COVID, to be honest. I was relieved that I was able to kind of just have my own space at this time rather than worry about running a business. I'm super grateful for the experience. I'm even grateful for my partner. It was a very big lesson, and I think the biggest takeout I have of that is that I don't want to have a business at the moment. I think I was an entrepreneur for 7 years, and I think I kind of really enjoyed it. I'm not saying that I'll never be an entrepreneur again or never open a business again. I just think for now, this is not for me.
How did it feel to take a step back from that? Was that your decision? Was it a joint decision?
It was a joint decision, and I think we were both happy about it.
Okay, so the chemistry, or it didn't gel well, I'm guessing.
You know, the beginning of everything is always so romantic, just like a relationship. And then when things get real, you realize, you know, is this for me or is this not for me? I'm a very intuitive person, and I know what works for me and what doesn't. And honestly, it wasn't working for both of us. So it just ended. And that's, I think, so when I ended that, that's when I knew I no longer want to have a business right now. And that just confirmed my decision of ending Sugar and Lace as well. So I kind of set both of them aside and said, you know, none of this, let me focus on me for a while.
So everyone still associates you with that business. How do you feel about that? Do you feel boxed in and that's what Layla is? Or do you feel like, no, that's not who I am. I'm me. And that's something I did.
It was something I created. It was beautiful. You know, some people stop me at the mall and say, it's because of you I started my business, or you inspired me to do so and so. I think my purpose in life is to be inspired and inspire others, regardless what shape or form that comes through. So if they want to associate me with cakes, it's great. I mean, I made it. It was my baby, so it doesn't frustrate me at all. I think we can all reinvent ourselves whenever we want. I think the beauty of life is not to be stuck in the box in your own head. You can be stuck in a box in someone else's head. That's fine with me. But I'm way too curious about life to just be one kind of person.
We at O'Brien Hill have over a decade's worth of experience working with some of the world's most successful brands across F&B, retail, culture and hospitality. We are equally at home helping a brand define its point of view, positioning a new development, designing product, packaging or creating content that speaks to an audience. Whatever the challenge, we deliver sharp, intelligent, content-driven work that helps brands amplify their message to customers around the world. Contact us on www.obayandhill.com or DMing us on Instagram for your public relations, social media and branding needs. You said that my purpose in life is to inspire, be inspired and inspire others. How are you living that today?
I think by being my true authentic self. I think by being vulnerable, in the beginning you said we all put up this facade. It's true, we do. And I've taken that all down. I've removed all labels. I'm so happy to just be me.
And what does you do all day?
I'm really big on learning. I'm constantly learning. I've done so many courses and so many and like everything you can ever imagine. I think I thrive on learning something new. So during this time of being at home, I've been doing so many online courses. I've learned astrology, which was something I was super curious about. I'm really curious about healing through movement and through expression. So healing through art or through dance. I'm part of this group called Dancing Souls, which is all about healing through dance. I love yoga. I'm a certified yoga teacher. I never actually taught it, but I believe in it so much that I wanted to study it further and got certified in it. I will be doing a psychotherapy course in October. I'm not sure where all of this will lead, but I feel so comfortable in my own skin right now that I know I'm onto something.
Do you feel like it will come, or are you going for it?
You know the quote, what you seek is seeking you? I totally believe that. You're looking for it, it's looking for you. You guys are going to meet, you're going to feel that pull, and it's going to be magnificent.
I'm personally always running towards a thing that seeks me. And if I'm not running towards it, then I can't sit still. I don't know if that's good or not. That's, I guess, how I operate. I think I run aggressively towards where I'm curious, but I'm so aware of time. Are you not aware of time? Does that not stress you out?
No, it doesn't stress me out. So I also did a course with Eckhart Tolle, he's the writer of The Power of Now. And it's all about living in the present moment. And it talks about the future being an illusion. And I really believe in that. I believe if you're not savoring the present moment, it's just going to go. Because you're always looking ahead. You're always looking forward. Then how are you enjoying what you're doing right now? I think all my experiences come together has taught me to enjoy the journey and not the end, not the destination. Because you can get there in so many different ways. But if you're not stopping at every stop to say, wow, this is beautiful. Wow, I'm really enjoying this. Oh my God, this is awesome. This is really where I'm supposed to be. Then what's the point of getting to where you're going to get at the end of the day?
Are you open to working for a company, or are you determined to kind of do something solo?
I'm open. Listen, I'm open to everything. If I were to work in a company, it needs to give me enough space to bring in my entrepreneurial spirit, to bring in my creativity. They really should be able to kind of use and abuse me, not just to clock in and clock out, but to kind of say, you're special in this, you're really good at that, you're irreplaceable because you have X, Y, Z skills. Let's really maximize you and make you happy. Because human beings love to produce, right? So if I'm producing in something that I'm passionate about, then it doesn't feel like work for me. Time will just go and I'll just be so happy doing it. So I would love to be able to do that job regardless whether it's in a company, it's corporate, it's not, it doesn't matter.
Do you value yourself? A lot of what you say is about, you do communicate value a lot, like, as in it's so important to you to feel valuable, but also to value yourself. How important is that to you?
Very important. It's super important. I think everyone should value themselves. A lot of people undervalue themselves, which is why they're constantly tired, constantly aggravated, constantly stressed.
Do you feel like valuing yourself is connected with believing in yourself? Are those two intertwined?
I think it's believing in yourself, believing what you're capable of, believing what you can give, not only yourself, but everyone. Listen, at the end of the day, we're all here to kind of be of service to one another. We're all here to help each other. No one's better than anyone. I really don't believe in this whole culture of let's compete with one another. Schools, from when kids were taught that who got a better score. Oh, okay, so if let's do this game and whoever wins gets this prize. We're constantly feeding the message of compete, compete, compete. And if you're better, if you win, you're better. And I really think this is going against our core as human beings. I think we're all in this together. If you lose, Wafa, I lose as well. If you win, I win. And that goes to every single person on earth. So I want everyone to win. And if everyone wants everyone to win, everyone knows how to put their best foot forward. How everyone knows what they're good at. So they'll say, I'm good at this, this is what I can offer. Then imagine how that comes back to the value. So I know this is what I can give you, therefore this is my value, and everyone says that. And how much better we can live collaborating with one another, hand in hand, than competing with one another.
There's a cliche about women that they are jealous of each other and they do compete with each other, even when they don't have to, even though they can work as teams or and this happens even with sisters, like sisters يغاروا من بعض and they're jealous of each other. And then it happens with girlfriends. Do you think this is a female thing?
We've all, our collective conscious has said that competing is good. Therefore, businesses compete. If you meet someone, they'll say, who's your competitor? That's a question people ask. Who's your competition? Has anyone ever told you, Wafa, there's enough for everyone? Everyone will find their own niche, their own market. There's enough abundance in this world for everyone. How much at peace will you feel, and how different will you feel about being in this sphere of business?
It's so hard though to cultivate abundance mentality. So just reflecting from my experience, I went to a school where we wanted to win if we were on the football team, and it was very competitive, I feel. And I graduated being super competitive, and I love doing sports and I have to be on the winning team and I want to win. And when I play board games, I want to win. And then when I do Ironman, I'm not competing with other people, I'm competing with myself. But this need to like be the best version of myself, that's me competing with me and looking sometimes at the landscape and trying to have a stronger, unique selling point. I sometimes wonder if competing is good or bad, because I think competing can get you to thrive and strive for excellence. But I also sometimes see the negativity in it, because even if I have abundance mentality, somebody will call me and be like, "Hi got قلدج, hi got قلدج," and immediately, and then I have to rewire myself, like, no, actually wait. There's enough. It's okay. I'm happy for her and she's happy for me and it's okay. But sometimes there's a lot of noise about scarcity, and it can make you behave in that manner as well. And I think it's just this constant rewiring, like, no, abundance. And I have to talk to myself, and then I catch myself. I'm like, no, stop. Like, abundance. So I sometimes do the opposite of what I'm meant to do, but it's not easy. It doesn't come naturally.
It doesn't come naturally because we've been wired that way. And I want to clarify that competing with yourself is very positive in my point of view. You need to be the best version of yourself. You need to be better than who you were yesterday. But it's only positive if you're comparing it to yourself. But once you start comparing with other people, this is where it becomes toxic, because then you feel you're never enough. So coming back to your business, I think it's very admirable. That's how we all should be. We should all reach out because now you've reached out. The next time you reach out to her, she's probably going to help you because you've helped her, you know?
So, why do you think it's easier for you to be able to close a chapter and start a new one, or just close a chapter and just be on pause, versus everyone else's instinct is to hang on and to not let go and question their decision, even if they know it's the right decision?
So I've done a lot of internal work and inner yoga. So you need to be able to quiet the noise around you so much. So that's one thing. Another thing, I'm super spiritual, yeah. So I don't think that I'm alone. I'm always supported. There's a higher power guiding us. There's a higher power putting you in the exact place that you're meant to be at this moment. And I think if you believe that, you'll never feel like resentful or alone. You'll take everything as what's a lesson to be learned here, rather than, oh my God, I hate this. Why is this happening to me? You're gonna think, okay, this happened. What is the lesson to be learned? What is the silver lining? There's a silver lining in everything. We just need to shift our perspective.
And for someone right now who's struggling to resign when they know in their heart that's not the right job for them, or struggling to close down a business when it's the right decision to do, or for somebody who wants to let go of something and everyone around them is like, you're crazy, you're doing so well, and well, what are you going to do now? And just putting that fear in them. What is your advice to be able to let go?
So no one's living your life. No one's in your shoes. You are the only person that knows what you need to do. You're the only person that sees your whole life as the bigger picture that it is. So no one can tell you what to do. I can't even tell you if your business is struggling and you're not feeling it. You need to know internally that this is the right decision for you. And if it is, go for it. You don't have to wait for someone to tell you to leave or to stop for you to stop. But believe in yourself at least that much that you know what's good for you and you know what's the next right step. And if your heart isn't in something and isn't something else, pursue it. You know, a lot of the times I've been curious about many things and I thought, you know, maybe this is a path that I want to take and I pursue it. And then I think, you know what, that's not for me. So pursue all the paths that you think are exciting for you. And a lot of the times you'll find many of them, it was just a curiosity. It was just something that I kind of wanted to learn about it, but I'm not curious enough to pull through.
Do you ever get judged for that though? Like, oh, Layla's just all over the place. She's trying too many things. She never knows what she wants.
All the time. But you know, I love being this way. I love being wanting so much for myself and wanting to learn so much and uncover so. I think that that's what makes me me. Like I can't stop ever being that. Learning about so many different things, meeting so many people. I don't have, since I was a kid, I never thought, oh, this person's too old for me to talk to. I just want to talk to everyone and understand everything and learn everything. And sometimes I'll be curious for a week about something, and sometimes it'll be a year, and sometimes it'll be 5 years. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how long it lasts. It's the quality of that time.
I love that you don't care what people think about you, which is also very freeing because we're taught, I think, to worry about what other people think about us, especially I think our parents always, that's like their biggest fear, always to make sure ما في حكي عليك and what will people think, and don't be vulnerable.
That's such an old school way of thinking. I don't think our generation think that way. I think, I don't know, maybe, I'm not sure. I just think that if you're living your best life, it's contagious. Courage is contagious.
You started doing a bunch of videos on IGTV talking about some of your personal thoughts on purpose and curiosity, sharing some stories about your family as well. There was like a wave, I think, during COVID where people started to interview people and just come out on Instagram. What was that like for you? Did you feel like, oh, that's interesting, I want to do that too, that's an interesting way to express what I'm feeling? Is that something you're going to continue doing, or was that just a phase?
It was something I feel like I needed to do. I no longer at this moment feel like I need to do that, but I felt it was just something in me that I had to let out, and a lot of people related to it. And I think that I wanted to kind of break that whole sugar and lace facade as well for myself. Yeah, it was such a prim and proper, beautiful business. And I'm not that person. I'm real. I'm vulnerable. I don't always have my things together. I'm just like everyone else trying to figure out life. I'm curious, and I'm interested in things, and I want to learn, and I failed, and I've picked myself up again, and I take that all as learning. And I just kind of wanted to show people that it was just very relatable for everyone else. I've never looked for fame in my work. That's really not something that I want to do. It just sort of happened. It happened with Sugar and Lace but that's really not what I'm out there to do. I'm not out there to make so much money because this is such a viable business. I'm there just to kind of do things that I really enjoy and want to share with the world. And whether that gets picked up in whatever shape or form, it's a byproduct of my intention.
When you did the IGTV series, you got a lot of feedback, a lot of views. Did that not motivate you to be like, okay, there's something here, maybe I should keep doing this? Or were you like, you know what, I had some things to say, I'm kind of done for now, and maybe I'll come back if I want to?
It motivated me to be even more authentic. Those videos came out of a place of being true to myself. I don't view my Instagram as I have to put up a story every whatever X number of days. I have to put up a picture no, that's not how I work. When I feel the urge to put something out, that's when I put it out.
I think for the longest time, I've been really tough and rough on myself, and I was extremely disciplined. Actually, since my pregnancy this time around, I decided to really kind of connect to this voice inside of me. Okay, do I want to do this project? Does this give me joy? How do I feel about it? So I'm kind of connecting, but I'm still pushing myself where I'm not comfortable. I don't know if this gives me joy. I'm going to do it anyways because it's something I need to do, and that's the adult and mature thing for me to do. So I do it. But
I see where you're coming from. Listen, if I wanted to just sit on my sofa all day, I'm not going to do that. Obviously, I get up, I go for a walk every single day, I exercise, I'm a mother, I have to be available for my children. I'm not saying that you shouldn't push yourself, and I'm definitely not saying you shouldn't push yourself outside of your comfort zone, because that's what vulnerability is. It is pushing yourself out of your comfort zone constantly. So if that leads to growth, then do it. But if that leads to you being an unhappy, bitter, stressed person, there's a difference. If that's going to push you to be the best version of you, because it's scary, but it scares the hell out of you, but you know that you're going to get such a thrill from it, do it. But if you're going to push yourself and you're going to hate yourself afterwards, this is when you shouldn't. There's a big difference.
Do you ever look at people who have like a clear career path that gives them joy and you're like, God damn, so jealous. Like I'm still...
No way. No way. I want to live like a billion different lives. I want to be on my deathbed and say, I don't regret 1 second that I've done so much and I can't even count it.
So Layla, my last question is, can you really be everything? Can you be everywhere? Can you experience everything? Can you meet all the people?
All the things that I'm interested in, yes. It doesn't have to be everything for everyone. It just needs to be all the things that I want to do. Yes.
Layla, this has been really very interesting. It's just really freeing to talk to somebody who is so comfortable just being who you are, just being curious and not knowing. That's it for this week. Thank you for listening to an episode of the Woman Power Podcast. And thank you for downloading and streaming our podcast every week. If you love what you've heard, tag us on Instagram and follow the Woman Power Podcast and Woman Power Summit account for more information on our next episode. Please leave a rating review wherever you get your podcast. It really helps other women discover the show. That's it from me. See you next week.